What if I told you the myths of ancient Greece, stories of Achilles, Agamemnon, and the Trojan War, weren't just legends, but echoes of a real civilization? A civilization that rose to dominate the Bronze Age world, then mysteriously disappeared, leaving behind only ruins and questions. This is the story of the Mycenaeans, a warrior people who built an empire of kings, traders, and craftsmen. Their palaces inspired legends, their warriors struck fear into enemies, and their collapse plunged Greece into a dark age. Join me as we uncover the extraordinary rise, cultural achievements, and mysterious collapse of the Mycenaean civilization, a story that shaped the very foundations of Western history. The story of the Mycenaeans begins around 1700 BCE in mainland Greece, a land of harsh landscapes and limited resources. These early Greeks were tough, resourceful, and determined. They thrived in small communities, farming and raising livestock, but the rugged environment shaped their character. Survival in such a land demanded strength, unity, and ingenuity. Around this time, a cultural revolution began. Influenced by contact with other Mediterranean cultures, including the Minoans of Crete, the Mycenaeans began to evolve. From these interactions, they adopted new technologies, artistic techniques, and even writing systems. But unlike the peaceful Minoans, the Mycenaeans had a distinct edge. They were warriors. By 1600 BCE, the Mycenaeans were no longer just small communities. They began building fortified cities that would become the foundation of their civilization. These citadels, Mycenae, Tiryns, and Pylos, weren't just towns, they were strongholds. Their walls were so massive that later Greeks believed they were built by Cyclopes, mythical giants of extraordinary strength. These Cyclopean walls weren't just for defense. They were a statement of power, intimidating both allies and enemies. At the heart of these fortresses lay the Megaron, the grand central hall of the palace. Picture it, a throne room with a roaring hearth, fresco-covered walls, and golden ornaments reflecting the firelight. Here, the Wanax, or king, ruled over his domain with absolute authority. But the Mycenaeans weren't just warriors, they were traders. Their contact with the Minoans of Crete profoundly influenced their development. The Minoans were master seafarers, dominating the Aegean with their fleets and establishing trade networks that stretched to Egypt and the Levant. The Mycenaeans learned quickly. By the 15th century BCE, they had not only adopted Minoan technologies, but had conquered Knossos, the jewel of Crete. From this strategic base, they controlled trade routes, exporting goods like olive oil, wine, and pottery in exchange for gold, ivory, and exotic materials. The Mycenaeans weren't just traders, they were warriors through and through. Their armies were well organized, with elite charioteers leading the charge. Their soldiers wielded bronze weapons and carried large figure-8 shields, striking fear into their enemies. In death, their warriors were honored as heroes. Graves like those at Mycenae reveal a society that valued strength, courage, and wealth. One of the most famous discoveries is the so-called Mask of Agamemnon, a golden face staring back through millennia. Spoiler alert, it probably isn't Agamemnon's actual mask, but it's no less extraordinary. By 1400 BCE, the Mycenaeans had entered their golden age. Their palaces were architectural marvels, blending practicality with grandeur. The Megaron was the heart of the palace, serving as the throne room, ceremonial space, and administrative center. Every surface was decorated with vibrant frescoes showing scenes of nature, warfare, and religious rituals. These weren't just decorations, they were symbols of power and culture. The Mycenaeans were master craftsmen. Their pottery, often adorned with marine motifs and geometric patterns, was highly prized across the Mediterranean. They created exquisite gold jewelry, carved stone vessels, and ceremonial daggers with intricate inlays. Their art wasn't just about beauty, it told stories of their lives, their beliefs, and their struggles. Religion played a central role in Mycenaean society. While much about their beliefs remains a mystery, their rituals often involved animal sacrifices, libations, and offerings of food and precious goods. Their gods would later be integrated into the pantheon of classical Greece, linking the Mycenaeans to the divine legends of Mount Olympus. Trade was the lifeblood of the Mycenaean economy. Their ships crisscrossed the Mediterranean, connecting Greece to Egypt, Mesopotamia, and beyond. They exported olive oil, wine, and fine pottery, bringing back exotic treasures that enriched their palaces. The discovery of the Uluburun shipwreck revealed the vast reach of their trade networks, carrying goods like copper ingots, glass beads, and ivory destined for Mycenaean workshops. But such wealth and complexity came at a cost. As their world grew, so did its fragility. By 1250 BCE, the Mycenaean world began to crumble. Palaces were destroyed, trade routes collapsed, and entire cities were abandoned. The reasons remain a mystery, but historians suggest a combination of factors: invasions by the enigmatic sea peoples, devastating earthquakes, and internal strife. Even their writing disappeared, plunging Greece into what historians call the Dark Ages. But the Mycenaeans were never truly lost. Their myths became the foundation of Homer's Iliad and Odyssey, inspiring generations. Their innovations in architecture, governance, and art laid the groundwork for the classical Greek world. The Mycenaeans remind us of the fragility of greatness and the enduring power of stories. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the past. If you found this story as fascinating as I did, don't forget to like, subscribe,